Old School RuneScape can be a challenging and intimidating game to get into. With all of its skills and quests, it can be hard to know where to start. And then there's the fact that after Tutorial Island, they spawn you in this blue square with absolutely no direction. Since new players naturally start with free-to-play content, and I have tons and tons of hours in free-to-play, I wanted to make this video with some tips and tricks to get started in Old School RuneScape. Before we jump into the tips and tricks, I wanted to introduce you to Free to Chunk Flip, because I'm going to be referencing this account a lot during the video. This is my free to play to bond 1 chunk account, where I started down here on the Musa Point chunk, and I have to complete all available tasks in my current set of chunks before I can unlock a random new chunk. This is what the chunk map looks so far, and I am a year and a half in. And if you take a look at the inventory, these are some of my biggest achievements so far. If you've never seen this type of content, it's an amazingly interesting way to play the game and makes for a great story, so check out the card on the screen now or the link in the description if you'd like to follow along. Alright, so we are up here in Varrock, right in between these two buildings, and there is a clothes shop here that has some pretty interesting things that you might not know about. If you go in, you'll find Thessalia. You can trade her. She has some clothes for sale and a few items that conveniently Charlie the Tramp asks for his beginner clue scrolls. I often stop in here to grab those if he asks for one and I am out or don't feel like making any. So that's another side tip. But the main tip here is that if you talk to her, she'll ask if you want your scythe back. You can say that you do want it back, and she'll just give it to you. Now you have to have completed the Halloween event at some point on the account to get it back, but it's a pretty cool, mostly decorative item. It does have some stats, but it's one random thing that this lady does. And another thing that she does is, if you say I have a frog token, which you will get from the random event where you have to kiss a frog, she will let you know that you can trade it in for a free costume deal, and then asks if you want a frog mask, royal tunic and leggings, or a royal blouse and skirt. She's also got some lamps a strange blue chap gave her, and so you can trade these tokens in for either any of these cosmetic pieces, or you can actually get an experience lamp. Now, I'm not going to do any of that right now because I've been stacking these on my 1 chunk account in the event that I need them later, the lamps that is. But this is a newer change. It was actually made in June of 2024, so a lot of people might have missed it because I think the only way to really know about it was the patch notes. I certainly missed it. And then one day I was just reading around on the wiki because I was bored, and I read that you can now trade them in for experience lamps, which is very handy, and I will say it is particularly handy for any sort of restricted account that happens to have access to her shop. This next tip has to do with one of the most important concepts for maximizing your time in the entire game, no matter what skill you are training, and that is getting around. No matter what activity you are taking part in, the best thing you can do is be able to get from point A to point B quickly. And there are a few ways built into the game for free that don't require any resources like runes or gold. As we focus in on the free-to-play area of the map here, let's take a look at one of my favorite free ways to get around. The River Lum, which I've highlighted in yellow here for you, pretty much runs straight down the center of the free-to-play world of Gielinor. The 4 markers you see popping up on the screen are canoe stations, and all you need is an axe and a woodcutting level to be able to travel between them. At level 12, you'll be able to go from one stop to another. At level 27, you can travel up to 2, and 42, you can travel all 3 stops. This means that with a few hours training woodcutting, you can travel almost anywhere along this river after just a short animation instead of walking or using valuable resources like runes. And if you get yourself up to 57 woodcutting, there are 2 additional stops up here in the wilderness. I only find myself using this one when I need to hunt mossy keys from the moss giants up here, but I have to say, if you have business in the wilderness, this is the safest way in. Quick disclaimer though, you can only take this canoe into the wilderness, you cannot take it back out. And for 57 woodcutting, unless you already have it, or like I said, you're hunting mossy keys, I really don't think this one is worth the time. We are already well on our way to hitting my goal of 1,000 subscribers, but there is still some work to be done. So if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe, and if you have, please hit the like button and leave a comment. The next tip has us back in the wilderness, living the dangerous life, and the reason we are here, which is right up here at this general store, which you can get to pretty easily from the Ferox Enclave, or if you just climb the ditch right by Edgeville, you pretty much run straight north. You gotta go through this little lava channel right here, and then you hop into the general store. These guys will attack you, and it is multi-combat, so it's a ton of fun getting here. But once you get inside, if you can keep them outside, you can just shut the doors and then they'll leave you alone. But this guy here, he's the general store. And the reason that he is special is because he buys things for more than most general stores. So as you can see, I have 2 rune pickaxes here in my inventory. I'm going to sell one here, and he's going to give me 19,200, which I believe is the high alch value. If we look here, yes, that is the high alch value. And most general stores do not give that. So to show you the difference, I'm going to run down to another general store real quick, and we'll see how much I get selling the same rune pickaxe. Alright, so we're now down at the Edgeville General Store, which is a very nice close general store as well, and this is also the second closest bank to where we just were up in the wilderness. The Ferox Enclave bank chest is closer, but this one is second best. And if you want to take an alternate slash slightly inefficient route to maybe avoid someone who would be camping this most efficient route, this would be the way to do it. But let's trade this guy and see how much he gives us. Same rune pickaxe, none in stock, so that won't affect it. And that is 12,800, which is a lot less. It is actually 33% less. So if you're going to be selling things to the general store at any point in free-to-play, it is a 33% gain to take the risk and sell them at this general store up here in the wilderness, which I've done a good bit and I haven't run into trouble too much. I would recommend, if you really are going high value, you have at least protection prayers unlocked, and then get some swordfish in your inventory, maybe a stamina potion, or excuse me, energy potion. Never hurts, but for 33% extra gold, I do think it is worth the risk. Obviously, you got to be careful and do it in batches so that you're not losing too much at once. But that is it for this tip. While we are on the subject of making money, I figured we'll discuss one of my favorite and very unused moneymakers for free-to-play. In the Grand Exchange, I've been buying rune pickaxes for 18,000 GP. And then what you can do is bring them down here to this pickaxe shop. You could also take them to the wilderness, but the benefit of this one is that you don't have to go in the wilderness. As long as there is only one rune pickaxe available in the shop, you can just sell one here for that same amount. You could sell more before you hop, but to maximize the value, I like to just sell one per world. So what I'm going to do now is hop worlds and sell another one. Now that it finally loaded, just got to track down new morph here. That's probably the most annoying part of this process. Verify that there's just one and click sell again. That means for every pickaxe that I sell, I'm making 1200 GP, and there are 59 free-to-play worlds, which means if you just stock up on these, you can do this pretty much every single day. There is a buy limit on the rune pickaxes of 40 per transaction, so I like to just set it at 80, and then at the beginning of the day, and then at the end of the day, when I've bought all 80, I go hop through the worlds one time and make some money. What is this guy doing down here? Not something you normally see, but sometimes people are down here, which is great. If you don't know, you can actually use hotkeys to hop worlds as well. This is the Rune Light plugin and the World Hopper plugin, and you can see that quick hop is set to Control Shift left or right. Left for previous and right to the go to the next world. So this time, instead of clicking, we'll just Control Shift and right on the keyboard, and we are hopping to make the process even faster. To get down here, you're going to want to use this Dwarven Mine entrance right here, and the best ways to get here quickly are either from Falador, or if you have the Imbued Scepter, which you can get from completing the Stronghold of Security, you can actually teleport to the Barbarian Village, which is the fastest option. But Falador is also a close second. I don't think that the difference is huge. So if you don't have the Imbued Scepter and you don't want to go through the process of collecting and assembling and imbuing it, which I wouldn't blame you if you felt that way, then I would just recommend using the Falador teleport. And then you could you wouldn't want to run straight up here because you'd have to run all the way around. I'd recommend running to the other Dwarven Mine entrance, which is right here, and then you just run your way up to the shop right here. But this is a really consistent money make. What is going on? This has to be a bot farm. What? First of all, what are these names? Outdom, okay, that one actually kind of makes sense. But these guys are all in Addy armor with rune sims killing dwarves. Nothing I've ever heard of before. Why are they ganging up on one? I didn't even necessarily know you could do that. And here comes another one. Old School RuneScape at its finest. Always bots everywhere. Sorry, got temporarily distracted. But as you can see with the Imbued Scepter, teleporting to the Barbarian Village and then running around this way is probably the easiest, and it requires the least clicks because you can just click once there and your dude will run all the way around. Wow, the bots are insane on this world. Gonna have to go do some mass reporting after the recording of this clip. But we're back, and I had already sold to this world, so we're not going to do it again. But that's the tip, and that is a good way to make over 50k every single day in free-to-play. My next tip is to complete the Below Ice Mountain quest so that you can take part in some of free-to-play's most unique content, which lies here in the ruins of Camdozel. Now, this video isn't a guide to Camdozel, so I'm not going to go in depth here, but I want to highlight two of the things that make this place one of my favorites. The first thing to highlight here, and the main goal of this area, is assembling the Bear Knight Mace. To get the 3 parts required, you will have to take part in all of Camdozel's activities, which include fishing, mining, and slaying golems, or training combat. Once you have the 3 pieces, take them over to Ramarno along with 1500 Bear Knight shards, and he'll assemble the mace for you, and you will have access to free-to-play's second best weapon. This is especially helpful for free-to-play Ironman, as it allows you to get something comparable to the Rune Scimitar without having to get the smithing level required to make said scimitar. My second favorite thing about Camdozel is the fishing activity, and that's because it's one of the few ways in free-to-play where you can train 3 skills all with one activity. Essentially, you use a net to catch some fish, which gains you fishing experience. You prepare the fish with a knife, giving you cooking experience, and then you give the fish at an altar, which gives you prayer experience. Offering the fish to the altar consumes the fish, which means you can do this activity forever indefinitely without leaving the area and training 3 skills all at once. This is one of the primary reasons I recommend getting to Camdozel early, This is a great way to get protection prayers while getting some bonus fishing and cooking experience. That's it for the video for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed my video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, or if you have any other things that I missed, throw them in the comments. I'm FinalBen7, and I'll see you next time.